What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Hemolife Podcast. It's your host, Elia, and I have my girlfriend here. She goes by Boots, and we're just going to do a little episode together. Just wanted to put something out. It's been a very busy month for me with work and the podcast, a lot of other cool opportunities coming out. I just released the book recently as well, so that's been taking a lot of time. But a lot of really exciting things going on. Went to Ohio recently and met with some people. Met with a blood brother, Forrest. Got to go to a really cool restaurant. It was like a rooftop restaurant. It was pretty fun. And then met with Parker and Jill. They were really awesome as well. When I went to Ohio, they reached out to me and asked if I wanted to meet up. My buddy Taylor Wilson, he's a severe A and a nurse, and we kind of grew up together. So it was really cool to reconnect with him. And he's getting really involved in the Ohio chapter and trying to come up with certain events, and wanted to talk to me about sponsorship opportunities that, ASAP Pharmacy could do with him and their chapter. So just so many amazing, cool things coming up. So we're probably going to partner with him, and we want to do like a men's retreat. So if you guys are in Ohio and you want to be a part of the men's retreat that we're going to do, let me know. Send me a message and I'll give you some details on when we're all going to hang out there. So I just wanted to do a quick little update on kind of what's going on with me and my life. And then we got some questions for Boots too. So she's going to be involved here in a little bit. But the Hemolife Podcast has been doing amazing. I just want to thank everyone who's listened, who's reached out and gave support. There's a lot of cool projects coming up, maybe some partnerships. If you guys have noticed, I've done a little bit of work with a company called BioRare News. They work in the chronic disorder space, and I think, we might be doing a longer collaboration with them. Talk to HFA a little bit as well, and might be doing something in there too. So just a lot of really cool, exciting things going on. Thanks for hanging in there with me. I have a guest list of probably 10 to 15 people as well. So it's going to be really busy. There's going to be a lot of really cool topics and discussions. When I created this podcast, I just wanted it to be an extension of kind of what I've already built over the past 10 years. And a long part of my time on social media was me telling my story and trying to build my platform, which is crucial. Like, you have to kind of build your own platform first. And I've done that. I had an opportunity to do that through, bodybuilding and getting to travel all across the United States. Before COVID happened, I was doing a lot of traveling, a lot of speaking opportunities were presenting themselves, even went to Canada for a little bit. So, that was a huge growing experience because I had no idea how to do any type of public speaking at all. And I had to teach myself how to do all of that. And I remember when I first started, I was terrible. I made a lot of mistakes, and I would get so scared before I would step on stage and, forget half the time, like, what I was trying to say. There was a couple times I failed a lot, like pretty bad, and people would come up to me and tell me how good of a job I did. And I was like, yeah, right. I did not do a good job. I sucked, but I'm pretty hard on myself too. So who knows? But I chose to grow from all those situations. And then, just like I've always done in my life, I would search for answers. Anytime I was bad at something, I didn't let that hold me back. The internet is a beautiful thing. All you have to do if you want to be good at something is find someone who has already accomplished the things that you want to accomplish and just study them, study their behaviors, their routines, their actions, and just pick people apart. It's really, really easy. Back in the day, we just had, I think they just had books. People go to the library and try to study. Now there's YouTube, there's all kinds of stuff. But the book has been taking a little bit of time lately. And so I haven't published any new episodes. But I'm super excited about the book. And I wish I had one here to kind of show you guys a little bit, but I don't, because I've given them all away. So usually when I first launch a book, I always, I give some out. I'll send some signed copies to people. If you are interested, I'm going to do a reorder of the signed books. I'll probably just do about 10 more. And so if you want, it'll be $20. Just send me a DM. You can cash at me and I'll sign it and send it to you. So the book is something that I'm really, really proud of. Throughout my entire journey of living with hemophilia, I didn't really have a mentor in my life. I didn't have anyone that I could look up to. And when I hit rock bottom, I was just so confused and lost. I had no idea, where to go. I didn't know what I was capable of. I had a lot of limiting beliefs. My mindset was terrible. I don't know, I just felt so alone. And when I hit rock bottom after going through my hepatitis C treatment, and I was just like, man, I don't know if I even want to live anymore. I don't like who I am. I don't think I offer the world anything. I had kids at that time, and I was just like, man, I hate who I am. I looked at myself in the mirror and I didn't like what I saw. During the hardest times of your life, sometimes that's when you ask yourself the most important questions. And what I realized is, your quality of life is determined by the quality of questions that you ask yourself. And I started asking myself those deep questions that helped me grow and helped me to realize that life is bigger than me, and the adversity I was going through was bigger than me. And if I could find a way to overcome it, then maybe one day I could help other people. And so I went on this crazy, crazy long journey of ups and downs, tons of failures. But the key was that I was resilient. I never stopped. I never forgot my why. And, establishing that why early on is really, really important, because without defining that why, the reason why you do things, life is too hard. There's going to be too many setbacks, and your why has to be strong. It has to be strong enough to, whenever you get knocked down, you just remember who you're fighting for. And for me, it was always my kids, my family, and the community. And, honestly, in the beginning, I had just a little bit of support, but just enough support to keep that fire lit for me, through my bodybuilding career. People were recognizing that and giving me my props for doing that and saying that I was inspiring them. And that was the first time I ever had validation in my life, was from the community. I didn't really get it from my parents growing up. So it was really thanks to everyone in the community that, kept that fire alive. And then I just wanted to do more. I looked at myself and I said, I'm going to create a person that I wish I had when I was a kid. And that's what I've been striving for. And it's taken a lot of studying, a lot of trial and error. And I wanted to eventually get to a point where I could create something that would help other people, but I wasn't willing to just study information and regurgitate the information that I was being taught without it truly being implemented in my life. And I'm proud to say that this book that I've created, it was something that I've always wanted to do. And this book is a little bit different. This is a book that's going to take about an hour to go through. I've been in the bleeding disorder community working for a specialty pharmacy for over 7 years now. And the most common thing that I've heard people talk about is that they find themselves in a dark space and they don't know how to find the light. They don't know what steps to take. And I can totally relate to that. And, like I said, I just wasn't willing to put something out unless it was tested by myself. I use bodybuilding as my way to kind of test everything, because I'm already battling a severe chronic disorder, and I decided to choose a sport that is extremely taxing on you mentally and physically. And so I did all this studying, and then I would test all these methods to see how I could overcome. When I first started bodybuilding, I came in last place. I was in last place for a couple of years, but I just never stopped. And I was like, I got to learn, what does it take to be great? What does it take to get to the next level? And I started studying all these things, and eventually I reached the next level. I was competing against the best in the world. I was winning some of the shows, and then I competed in a worldwide show called the Arnold and came in second place, almost won that one. So I finally figured out what it took. And then I started applying those same actions and behaviors and other things in my job, my personal life. So it just honestly, bodybuilding doesn't matter. Bodybuilding is irrelevant. That was just like my testing stage. But I found out that all these behaviors, they work for anything that you're going to do. So I'm super excited about the book. And then I created a workbook, and I'm also going to be creating an online interactive course that is going to kind of be there by your side to go through the workbook. So basically you're going to read one chapter, then you're going to do the work assignment. And then basically by the time you're done with the book, you're going to go through all those behaviors and all those daily things and all those daily actions that I've taken throughout my life to elevate my life, to escape the dark times. And this is just going to be your tool. So, you're going to use this over and over and over again. And I'm just extremely proud of it. I really hope that it's going to help some people out of their dark moments and, maybe even redefine yourself. So in this book, you're going to find chapters 1 and 2. It's redefining your strength, overcoming those limiting beliefs. There's going to be some assignments in here that's going to help you define your why, kind of give you your compass to life, so that whenever you do get off of course, you know exactly what actions to take to get back on track. Even went into some of my bodybuilding techniques for all the fitness people out there who have a chronic disorder and want to get into the fitness lifestyle. the best kind of program to start off that's very joint conscious exercises to kind of help you build the foundation and get to where you're supposed to be. Talk about the Hemolife Podcast as well, the chronic physique origins, a little bit of my story on chronic physique, why I created that. And then brand building as well, just because social media is so popular and it's not going anywhere. And really, all of our stories are very, very important. And I think people need to understand how to properly build a brand, how to properly build your story. And this just gives you some insight on how I did it. And so I can kind of pass the torch down to other people. And it just, what it's going to do is it's going to give you confidence so that I think that's what I struggled with that in the beginning was I didn't have the confidence, but I still did it anyway. But I think a lot of people will get scared and then they don't continue the process. You have to understand that all this stuff that's being taught in this book, you have to have a long-term vision for your life. Social media right now it's kind of rough because everyone has this quick fix mentality, get rich quick, change your life quick. But truly, I don't think that's ever going to change. I think anything in life that's worth it takes a lot of effort, and a book like this is just going to help give you the confidence that you're on the right track and you're doing the right thing. There's community letters in here, just some feedback that I've gotten throughout the years. And then there's a quote vault. I love my quotes. I live my life off of quotes, mantras, just, positive things that you can just remind yourself, tell yourself every day. You start to get into these bad spots in life, and then you remember these quotes and what they stand for. And then, so I don't know, there's so much. There's about 14 chapters in there. The workbook is awesome. And I just really hope that this becomes a tool for everyone to use whenever you get into a hard time. So if you get the book, I would love for you guys to, send me your feedback. Let me know what you think. You can leave a review on Amazon as well. It's going to be in the link in my bio on Amazon, the workbook. So if you do purchase the book, send me a DM to let me know that you purchased it. And then I'll send you over the workbook. And right now it's an ebook format. But that being said, I am working on getting that into a paper workbook as well, because I do believe that when you write things down, you retain that knowledge. Well, it's actually proven that you do retain the knowledge. I forgot the percentage of what that is, but so I truly do believe in writing things down, even though we're kind of going to a more modernized way of doing things. But now, guys, I'm going to interview my girlfriend. She has not been prepped. She doesn't really know what she's gotten herself into. But I wanted to put out an episode, and I thought I wanted to have a little bit of fun with her. We have some exciting stuff going on in our lives. We're very, very busy. We found out that we are having a baby together. So that's exciting. I'm already a father of 3 amazing kids, and she has her son as well. So man, we're gonna have
a big family.
We're gonna have a big family. It's gonna be crazy. But we're super excited. We already know the gender, but we're not gonna tell you all. We're gonna do like a gender reveal for that. So it's gonna be really fun. But I have a few questions that I've kind of put together and just wanna, see what she's got to say about her experience of dating a hemophiliac. So, Boots, when did you first learn that I had hemophilia, and what were your initial thoughts?
Well, on our first date, you kind of told me that you had hemophilia, but I had no clue what it was at all. But you kind of described it a little bit and gave me some details, and I've gone on some trips with you, and I've gotten some insight on that.
Yeah, I took her to a trip before, and I think it was in Orlando, and
some golf trips and
we did a local golf tournament, which was quite the story as well. I won't even go there, but I got in trouble for bringing my girlfriend to a hemophilia event, which is craziness because that's what it's supposed to be about. It's supposed to be about family and showing people the world you're about. It's all good. It's water under the bridge right now. Have you ever heard of hemophilia before you and I got together?
Not at all.
No? Was it scary? Or not really? Did I present it in a way where it really didn't worry you?
I mean, it's worrisome because you get hurt quite often, and sometimes it's hard for you to move around and whatnot. But before then, I wasn't really sure, so I wasn't too terribly scared, I guess. But after being around you and living with you and seeing how you are, it is a little scary sometimes.
Yeah, I think she worries a lot more than I do.
I'm a big worry.
She's always telling me to infuse, and I'm like, I'm good. I got it. I'm fine. I'm just like, I'm so used to pain. I have a really high pain tolerance, and I'm walking throughout the house and you'll hear me just scream out loud. I'm just used to it though. It's just part of what I've dealt with my entire life. I don't know. Were there ever any moments where you felt helpless or unsure how to support me?
Maybe when we moved into this place here, we just did way too much for how old we are and how much problems that we have with our bodies. You literally were like crawling around, and that was scary. That was the first time seeing that.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing worse than like being a grown man crawling around your house and not being able to take care of yourself. But yeah, we moved from her house into our own place, and we decided to do
Too
much and do it on our own for the most part, and we did really good. I mean, just for me and you, we killed it. Then, by the time it's all said and done, then I was in pretty bad shape, and then we had to call for backups. Called my brother. One of my coworkers that I work with brought him over, and we need
rough shape too. I've got degenerative disc disease, so my back was killing me by the end of that day.
Yeah, and that was that was another thing that connected us in our relationship. Was in the beginning was that she has her own her own struggles. What is it?
Degenerative disc disease. I have it in my lower back and in my neck.
Yeah. So it's actually crazy because I've never been in a relationship where someone else kind of was going through their own struggles. It's always been kind of, me being the one who's struggling, which is, I think it was a relief for me just because I wanted someone who could relate to what it feels like to be in pain and, to not always be at your best. And it was nice that you were able to relate to me on that level. But at the same time, now it's been kind of crazy because I wasn't used to that at all. And, seeing you go through your thing and suffer a little bit as well, not being able to walk. It's been interesting to manage for me, and I've been having to figure out how to approach it in the right way because what I've gone through, I've had to, like I said, I have a high pain tolerance. I've had to really develop a strong mindset to overcome. And so sometimes I think I can be a little hard on you just because, it's not that like I'm not sensitive to it. It's just that I kind of know what it takes to overcome it. And so I always want people to be performing at their best. So I'm like pushing you. I'm always coaching you, just always trying to motivate her to push her limits as well. But maybe that's not the best approach though, for a relationship sometimes. I've been learning though. I've been learning to kind of balance it a little bit to give you the softness and kindness and love that you need while at the same time motivating you to be your best. Anyone that's in my life, I'm going to want them to be their best. And I'm not the type of person who's just going to sit there and watch people go through things like that. I always want to find a solution and try to help out. But we're figuring it out. So have you ever felt scared about the future? Like what would happen if things get worse?
I do, just because you just don't know what each day is going to bring. But at the same time, you just have to believe and trust in God and that things are going to be all right at the end of the day.
Yeah. I mean, I'm scared of the future too. It's like, especially now, we're having a baby and, my biggest fear growing up was like how long I was going to live. I didn't even know how long I was going to live for. And, I pushed my body to its limits. And I mean, we've been to the hospital so many times already. It's been crazy. And I mean, but we believe in God and, we don't know what he has in store for us. And we just try to build our faith. But I'd be lying if I said I wasn't scared at times. I just don't want to live in fear, but I still don't know what God has in store. Like, am I gonna live a full life? I have no idea. With my liver damage, when I started the Hep C treatment, they said my liver was on the final stage of cirrhosis. So it's like, is that going to be a surprise later on in life? But I don't know. We don't live that way though. We're a very positive couple, and we just try to work through everything and just get better. We're far from perfect. We've had our ups and downs for sure. It all comes back to centering yourself and your beliefs and pulling back and trying to, figure things out. But yeah, who knows what's in store. But we have a beautiful baby coming, a lot of exciting times. And hopefully,
embrace each and every day.
Yeah, hopefully God allows me to be there for you guys and continue to raise our family. So what is something beautiful that your experience has taught you with me?
You are such a tough cookie. You do not let anything bring you down. You bring everything with like happiness and joy, even if it's not the best of news.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. I mean, I try. I think that's how I've gotten so far.
Sometimes I see you struggle a little bit, but at the same time, you bring yourself back, and it's just like, you know what, I can grow from this.
Yeah, and that's kind of like the methods and mindset I'm trying to teach in the book and stuff as well. It gets hard, but then it's like literally once you like go through the emotions, you have to find a solution. And that solution is like grounding yourself. There was this one time I was at just a get together with a bunch of successful men, and we were all like going around in a circle. And I think somebody asked a question of like, what's one thing, like one statement or quote that you would give to us, something like a valuable statement of some sort. And one guy said something that was, pretty simple, but it stuck with me. And he was a very successful like president or owner of a company. And he said, nothing is ever as good or bad as it first seems. And that's very true. A lot of times we hear terrible news and, we're devastated. And then, maybe a week or two later, we ground ourselves, and then we realize, okay, that sucks and it was bad, but maybe it turns out it wasn't quite as bad as you first thought. And then, vice versa as well. You get amazing news and you're just so elated and excited. And then it's just like, later on it kind of dies off, and then you're just like, oh, it was cool. Maybe it wasn't that cool, or I don't know. Like, I think the moral of the story is to stay even keel and grounded through everything. It doesn't mean you can't get excited. It doesn't mean you can't get sad. I think all those emotions we should go through. But in the hard times, you just have to take a step back. And what I've learned, I wrote my first book called Adversity Equals Opportunity. And, I actually practice everything that I preach, in my family life, professional life, and everything. And so that's the first thing I ask myself is, okay, this is really bad. And we've gone through some of these really bad situations recently. We won't publicize everything that we've gone through, but we've gone through some rough situations. But I always ask myself, what's the opportunity here? And I believe in my heart that no matter what it is, if you are relentless and searching for something, you'll find the answer. And so it can be really, really hard, but you have to control your emotions and search for the opportunity to grow. You might not see it all the time, and maybe you need to go to God in a certain circumstance to get that vision, to have him show you the opportunity, but just don't stop searching for it. And eventually I feel like you'll find your answer, and then it might be months down the road. And then you're just like, I found it. I see it. I see the growth that happened in me, the personal growth, these personal challenges. We don't grow if everything's easy, if everything's perfect. You don't love without hurt. So, we have to have that contrast in life, and it's just part of life. Like, you just can't ever avoid it. So if you can't avoid it, then be ready to go through it. So based off of your experience so far, is there any advice that you would give to someone who's dating a hemophiliac?
I would say just definitely be there for them, love them through it, and definitely remind them to infuse. Sometimes it's a struggle for them to do it because they just don't want to anymore, but you just got to be that little person on their shoulder, to remind them and say, hey, you got to do this to make sure you take care of yourself and make sure that it ain't going to hurt you even longer in the long run when you don't do it.
Yeah. I think, like, for me, just thinking about it, I just think that, we want to feel normal. We want to, we're men still. Most of us are men. And, we want to feel like, despite our disorder, we can still handle business. We can still take care of things that we need to take care of. And we can be the man of the household.
It doesn't have to be a shame thing, though. Not at all.
Yeah. But, you have to be, we have to be strong for our families, and it can be a lot harder sometimes for us to be strong. And there's the emotional battles that you go through. A lot of times too, like, you're going through so much pain so frequently that you don't realize like how it's getting to you mentally, and your temperament as well. I struggle with that in the beginning. I don't struggle with that as much anymore. I'm very, very in control over my emotions and how I react. And, you have to be aware. The first step is awareness. You have to be aware. Okay, am I going through pain? Like, how long have I been going through pain? Am I taking this out on the people that I love? So that was a big part of my journey, was realizing that, being aware of that situation. But I feel like I'm really good at that now. If anything, I help you manage, what you go through and your pain and stuff, and be like, hey, like, I know you're going through stuff, but you still have to show up for the people you love. And that can be the hardest part, I think, is that, it's not easy. It's not an easy task to say. Like, it takes practice, but, we have a family that we have to manage and take care of, and our kids need us on our A games. And so, but that being said too, like, I just feel like we have to be there for each other emotionally too. And sometimes it's okay to tell each other, like, hey, you know what, let's go through these emotions. Like, let's be sad about it. Like, it's okay not to be okay. Let's be sad about these situations for now, But, and there's been times where like, hey, maybe we just need a day where you just say, F it. You just eat some junk food, be lazy, don't do anything. But then it's like, okay,
And jump back into the game.
Yeah, get back in it, not get back in it. So I do that all the time. It's one of my, tools that I've used is like allow myself to go through this negative time for now. But thanks, Boots. Appreciate you coming on just for a quick little episode. I've been meeting a ton of people, like I said, throughout the United States. I get the opportunity to travel with my pharmacy and get the opportunity to mentor people, to provide resources. I mean, we've got guys, hemophiliacs that are out there that are struggling. There's so many people that are doing amazing. There's so many people that are struggling still. And I wake up every day and I try to like take in, that load, my load, and everything. It can be overwhelming, all the editing that's involved in the podcast stuff, but it's all super rewarding, and it's all part of what I've been building for such a long time. It's just so awesome to see, these visions come to fruition and people responding to it. And I just can't wait to share other people's stories. Like I said, I just got back from Ohio, met 3 people, and they're all doing like so many like amazing things. Forrest had a severe brain injury, bleed into his head, and just like he's getting ready to graduate now from Harvard, which is amazing. Parker and Jill, they shared their story with me as well, and like their passions and things that they're wanting to do, and the ups and downs and struggles that they've kind of gone through. And it's just amazing to see how resilient our community is. And I'm super excited. So the next big thing for me coming up is the Texas Bleeding Disorder Conference. I'll be going there. I think that's this next month. I'll be in Texas a lot this next month. So if you guys are in Texas at all and want to meet up, get together, send me a message. I will be going back to Ohio, Iowa. I know I'm going to Colorado soon as well. So it's going to be busy, but I got to, stay on it. I got to create some content. I've got a supplement sponsor. Like, it's crazy. It's just crazy. And I'm hoping, Boots gets to travel with me a little bit more in the future. It's kind of hard now. We got a dog. You're pregnant.
Got kids.
Kiddos. I mean, it's just, it can be rough, but we know that, we're on the right track. God's guiding us, and we don't have all the answers. The old quote, we may not have it all together, but together we have it all. And so you just have to be grateful every single day, no matter how hard things get. And all right, guys, thank you very much for tuning in to this episode of the Hemolife Podcast, late at night version. I'm kind of tired, to be honest, because I told her like 2 hours ago I want to do this podcast. I was sitting here patiently waiting for her nails to dry. So yes, I love you guys. Thank you so much for all the support. And, this week's going to be a little bit busier because I need to finish up a lot of stuff with the workbook that I'm creating. And then I'm going to be doing this virtual course where I walk everyone through all the chapters and the assignments with the chapters to help you guys grow. I think it's going to be an amazing growth tool. I heard HFA is doing some amazing interactive course stuff as well too. So a lot of really cool things going on in our community. Hope you guys all have a good night. Love you. Thank you. Good night.